إنا لله وإنا إليه راجعون. I ask you, mu'mineen, how many times did Abu Abdullah say this verse? How many times did he say, Inna lillahi wa inna ilayhi raji'un? Abu Abdullah, from the morning at the time of Fajr, all the way until the time of Asr, he was carrying the bodies of the shuhada from the battlefield all the way towards the tents, until finally when he was left all alone, and there was nobody there to help him, there was nobody there to support him. We have cried for the whole companions, we have cried for the Ahlul Bayt, but today we will cry for the Mazloom Abu Abdullah al-Hussain. Reciting from the Maqtal. Sayyidi ya laytana kunna ma'akum fanafuza wallah fawzan azima. أعظم الله لنا العاجر بمصابنا أبي عبد الله الحسين وجعلنا الله من آخرين بثأره مع إمام هدى من آل محمد. Imam Ali ibn Musa al-Riza has said, Inna yawm al-Hussein nakrah jufunana wa bas'al du'amu'ana wa adil azizina. Imam Ali ibn Musa al-Riza has said that the day of Hussein, the day of Ashura, has caused our eyes to bleed and has caused tears to be shed and our noble ones to be humiliated, and it has caused us pain and tribulation in a land of pain and tribulation. Ya mu'mineen, today our 12th Imam is shedding fresh blood out of his eyes instead of tears. Imam Zaman today can see things. He can see the events of Ashura unfolding before his two eyes. He describes some of those scenes in Ziyarat al-Nahiya, in which he says, As-salamu ala shayb al-khadib, As-salamu ala al-khadd al-tarib, As-salamu ala al-badan al-salib, As-salamu ala tha'r al-makru' bil-qadib. The Imam says, peace be upon the bereaved and the patient one. Peace be upon the one who was without a helper. Peace be upon the one whose rights and dignity were violated. Peace be upon the one whose sanctity was desecrated. Peace be upon the one whose blood was shed unjustly. Peace be upon the one who was bathed in the blood of his wounds. Peace be upon the one who tasted the spears raining over his body. Peace be upon the one who was buried by the strangers in the villages. Peace be upon the one who was slaughtered in public. Peace be upon the gray hair that was dyed with blood. Peace be upon the cheek that was covered with dust. Peace be upon the front teeth that were beaten with a rod. Peace be upon the head raised on a lance. With the dawn of the 10th day of Muharram, Imam Hussain led his followers for the morning prayer. Then he wore his grandfather's armor and turban and put on his father's sword. He then stood to address his followers, and he began with the praise of Allah. At that moment, Umar ibn Sa'd came towards the Imam with 30,000 troops. When Imam Hussain saw their multitudes, he looked towards the skies and prayed. He said, O Allah, you are my haven in every mishap, my hope in every predicament. Umar ibn Sa'd then fired an arrow in in the direction of the Imam's camp, and he said, bear witness for me with the Amir that I was the first to shoot. The arrows then followed like rain, killing many of the companions of Imam al-Hussain. Then at the end, Ya Mu'mineen, when everybody was killed, Abu Abdullah, it was his last time to leave. The narrations mention multiple times Abu Abdullah would leave and somebody would call him back. Then he would leave, then somebody would call him back. And then finally, when he mounted his horse, he was about to leave, but the horse would not move forward. The horse is not progressing forward. So Abu Abdullah looks down. He says, oh my beloved horse, I know that you are tired. I know that you are zakhmi. And I know that you are thirsty. All I ask for you is take me to the battlefield one last time. You don't even need to bring me back. It was as if the horse would then look down towards his hooves to say to Abu Abdullah, oh my master, I will never disobey your command, but please look down at the foot of the horse. As Abu Abdullah looks down, what does he see? He sees a 4-year-old girl hugging the foot of the horse and crying out loud, saying, oh horse, please don't take my father to the battlefield. Everybody that has left has never returned. Oh horse, if you take Abu Abdullah, who will I be with? Where will I go? What will happen to me? So the Imam alights down from his horse. He picks up his 4-year-old girl. He kisses Sakina. He says, oh Sakina, do not add injury to my already broken heart. Oh Sakina, please show some patience. She says, oh father, I used to sleep on your chest. After this, where will I sleep? Abu Abdullah then lays down on the sands of Karbala. He takes his 4-year-old girl. He places her on his chest. She falls asleep on the chest of Abu Abdullah. When she falls asleep, he takes her into the tent. He places her into the corner of the tent. At this moment, Sakina is asleep, and we will talk about how she was awoken. Then the Imam mounts his horse again. As he's about to leave, he hears another voice calling him from behind. Mahlin mahla ibn Zahra. Slowly, slowly, O son of Zahra. He looks back. He sees his sister Zainab coming. He says, oh my sister, what do you want? She says, Ya Abu Abdullah, please alight down from the back of your horse. I have something that I need to say to you. So Abu Abdullah comes down. At that moment, she says, open up the collar of your shirt. So Abu Abdullah opens his collar. She then kisses the throat of Abu Abdullah. Then she turns towards Medina and she says, oh Mother Zahra, you said to me when Hussein leaves for the final time to kiss him on his throat. Therefore I have done that. Then Abu Abdullah takes the hand of Zainab. Then he kisses the wrists of Zainab. Then he turns towards Najaf and he says, Ya Ali, you told me when I leave Zainab for the final time for me to kiss her hands, but these are the hands of Zainab that will be tied in chains only within a few moments. Then the Imam mounts his horse again. As he's about to leave, he hears another voice from behind. It's his sister Kulthum. She says, oh my brother, come and bid farewell to Syed Sajjad. Sajjad is all alone in the tent. So Abu Abdullah goes in. He goes into the tent of Sajjad. What does he see? He sees that his son is laying down unconscious. So Abu Abdullah wakes him up. As Syed Sajjad looks up, he looks at Abu Abdullah. He sees blood covered in the beard of Abu Abdullah. So he says to his father, oh my father, where is Habib? Ayn al-Habib. He says Habib has been killed. Then he says, Ayn al-Muslim ibn Awsaja, Ayn al-Zuhair. He mentions all the companions. Abu Abdullah says they have all been killed. Then he says, that breaks the heart of Abu Abdullah. He says, oh father, Ayn Ali al-Akbar. He says, Ali al-Akbar has been martyred. He says, Ayn al-Qasim. He says, Qasim has been killed. He says, Ayn al-Abbas. He says, Abbas has also been killed. Understand, O Sajjad, that you and me are the only two males remaining in this camp. At that moment, Imam Sajjad gets up, holding a stick and leaning on his sword as he's trying to leave. So Abu Abdullah says, oh sister, take Sajjad back so that the lesson of Muhammad is not severed. And then finally, Abu Abdullah mounts his horse. And this was his final time. This was the time that the Imam goes towards the battlefield. So Abu Abdullah is now proceeding towards the battlefield. What does he say? He says, Nazara yamina wa shimala. He looks towards the right and then the left. And he says what? He says, Ya Fursan al-Haydar. Oh my heroes of the battlefield. Mali unadikum fala tujibun. I am calling you, but you are not responding to my call. Are you asleep? Please wake up. The Maqtal says, their dead bodies began to tremble on the plains of Karbala to say, Ya Abu Abdullah, if we were to come back to life, we will come towards you. Abu Abdullah then goes into the battlefield. He begins fighting. He kills many of them. All of a sudden, he goes towards the river. He conquers the people there. He enters into the river with his horse. As Abu Abdullah is in the river, a person shouts to him, Oh Hussain, you enjoy the water while your women and your tents are being desecrated. So Abu Abdullah throws the water back. He goes back in towards the battlefield. Final moments, Ya Mu'mineen. As Abu Abdullah is fighting, he becomes tired. As he becomes tired, he pauses to rest for a moment. When the Imam pauses to rest, they say that one mal'oon threw a stone that hit the forehead of Abu Abdullah. At this moment, his blood began gushing down his sacred face. So Abu Abdullah used his hands to try and wipe away the blood from his head. At that moment, another man fired an arrow at Abu Abdullah. His hand was planted in towards his head. He couldn't remove his hand. So Abu Abdullah pulled the arrow out. As he pulled it out, another person by the name of Ibn Sharat, he came forward and he shot the Imam in the left shoulder. Ibn Numayr came, he shot the Imam with an arrow. Another person came, he shot the Imam again. Sinan ibn Anas came, he shot the Imam with an arrow on his chest. And at that moment, Harmala then fired a three-pronged arrow into the chest of Abu Abdullah. The Maqtal said, Abu Abdullah held the arrow from the other side, and as he pulled it out the back, he said, Bismillah, wa billah, wa ala millati Rasulillah, in the name of Allah and by Allah. As he pulled this out, his blood began gushing out. Abu Abdullah held his blood and he stained his beard with it. Then he looked up and said, I will meet my grandfather in this state, covered and smeared in my own blood. At that moment, another mal'oon by the name of Syed ibn Wahab, he hit the Imam on the side. The Imam then said, O Mu'mineen, wa hakki jaddi ana atshan. I am thirsty. I swear by my grandfather. Can you give me a drop of water? None of them gave them a drop until one individual came. He struck the head of Abu Abdullah. When Abu Abdullah fell from the horse onto the ground, I say to you, O Mu'mineen, whenever somebody fell, they landed on the ground. Abu Abdullah fell from the horse, but he didn't land on the ground. Why? There were so many arrows embedded into the body of Abu Abdullah that when he fell from the horse, he didn't land on the ground. He was levitating on these arrows, Ya Mu'mineen. As Abu Abdullah is laying on the ground, one enemy member said, I came forward to kill the Imam, and as I was about to kill him, I looked at his eyes, and I swear by Allah, I saw the eyes of Rasulullah, so I wasn't able to kill him, so I walked away. The Maqtal then says, finally, a rider came out of the camp. He came towards Abu Abdullah as he was hitting the Imam. Sayyid Zainab and Kulthum are now standing at the entrance of the tent. They are looking to see what is happening to our beloved brother Abu Abdullah. At that moment, the horse of the Imam begins to turn back and go towards the camp. When the women see that the horse has returned, but the rider has not, all of a sudden, the women began crying. Kulthum, she raised her hands towards the sky, and what did she say? She said, Wa Muhammadah, Wa Abada, Wa Aliyah, وجعفر وحمزة يا الله هذا الحسين بالعراء سري بكربلاء. Oh Allah, this is your Hussein. Ya Rasulullah, this is your Hussein laying on the plains of Karbala and he is about to be killed. Then Sayyida Zainab reaches the body of Abu Abdullah. Final moments, Ya Mu'mineen. Sayyida Zainab, she approaches Abu Abdullah. What does she see? She sees that Abu Abdullah is surrounded by 30,000 troops. Imam Sadiq said every wound came on top of another wound. Every strike came on top of another strike. So she reaches the body of Abu Abdullah. She turns towards Umar ibn Saad. She says, Hey Umar, Ya Umar, is there no one here that will protect Abu Abdullah? The sad thing about this is the daughter of Ali ibn Abi Talib is conversing with these mal'oon individuals. So she would say to them in a loud voice, she would say that Abu Abdullah is being killed, and you are watching him being killed. Then she would say, Ama fikum Muslim, is there no Muslims among you? Whilst Abu Abdullah is dying, they say that Abu turned his face away from Sayyidina Zainab with tears staining down his beard. She then said, this is Hussain, is there nobody that will protect Abu Abdullah? And the final moments, Ya Mu'mineen, this is when Shimr comes and he approaches Abu Abdullah. The Maqtal says that Shimr came, first he kicked Abu Abdullah, then he came and he sat on the chest of Abu Abdullah. Jalisun ala sadri Hussain, Shimr sat on the chest of Abu Abdullah. Then the Maqtal says that he held the beard of Abu Abdullah. He held the beard of Abu Abdullah in his hands. Then he took out his sword. Then he struck the Imam 12 times. Then he severed the head of Abu Abdullah. When he severed the head, the skies turned red. Sayyidina Sajjad came out of his tent. He looked up. He said, where is my father? Sayyidina Zainab comes. Final words. Sayyidina Zainab comes forward. She says, oh Sajjad, I can't find your father. Where is he? So Sayyidina Sajjad says, oh Aunt Zainab, don't look towards the ground. Look up at Ufuk Karbala. If you want to see my father. Sayyidina Zainab looks out. What did she see? She sees the head of Abu Abdullah raised on his spear. So Imam Sajjad looks and he says, Assalamu alayka ya Abu Abdullah wa ala al-arwah allati hallat bifina'i alaykum minni jami'an salamullah abadan ma baqitu wa baqiya al-laylu wa an-nahar wa la ja'a Allah wa akhiru al-ahd minni li ziyaratikum. Assalamu ala al-Hussain wa ala Ali ibn al-Hussain wa ala awlad al-Hussain wa ala ashab al-Hussain.